Hey, thanks for watching. Let me take you back to these scenes. I like you better with glasses. Conrad, do you want to give Bailey your present? Sorry, I forgot, Conrad says to Bailey. You know you have the prettiest smile I have ever seen. Your whole face lights up when you smile. Another scene, Bailey says, well, you will always be the boy who taught me how to ride a scooter, so Conrad replies, hey, I will always be the boy who taught you how to ride a bike. I know you are waiting for the release of the movie, but Conrad will say, let me talk for a minute. Hear me out, please. We are going to talk about Conrad's watch and how it fits to his character in the series The Summer I Turned Pretty. The brand of the watch that Conrad was wearing is Omega. The model is Omega Constellation with a pipe and dial. This is Omega's flagship chronometer dress watch, which meant to showcase the brand's precision wins at observatory trials. The pipe hand dial is from the 1950s to the mid-1970s, and they are famous for the faded, slightly domed pipe hand that visually resembles an upside-down pipe hand. This dial became a signature aesthetic and a big part of this model's desirability. And the pipe hand Constellation is one of the most iconic vintage Omega watches. Talking about the Constellation, do you remember this scene? Do you know that the Venus is an evening star for 260 days out of the year, and then it disappears from the sky for 50 days before returning as a morning star for another 263 days? Conrad says, I didn't know that. That's very cool. And Barry says, right now it's an evening star and it's actually bright right next to the moon. I'm actually looking at it right now. It's probably against the rules to say this, but I wish we are looking at it together. Back to the review. Conrad was wearing this watch with leather strap, and wearing this watch with leather strap enhances its vintage look and they feel more intimate than a steel bracelet. You know, watches are often associated with power and status, but here in this series it is more about romance. Let's talk about the design of this watch. It is classic, elegant timepiece known for its precision or consistent timekeeping, which is also fitting to Conrad's character. Why am I saying this? I will explain in a short time. You know, Jeremiah was also wearing an Omega watch. Yes, Jeremiah was wearing Omega Speedmaster with an engine timing change. No, with a steel bracelet. And his watch might be expensive than Conrad's own. And he started wearing this watch earlier before Conrad started wearing this watch in season 3. But the way Conrad cares about this vintage Omega Constellation shows that this watch is really precious for him. When it comes to water, he did exactly how vintage watches should be treated. He removed the watch from his wrist and put it aside, and after washing his hand, he dries it and then he wears it back. That is how vintage watches should be treated when it comes to water, and he did exactly so. The way he cared about the watch got many people's attention about how really that watch is for him. It shows the watch was very, very important for him, and he showed it how he was treating the watch. In movies, most of the times, actors are not allowed to pick their own choice of a watch. Most of the times, it's a bland deal or it's part of the story. And in this series, the watch that Conrad was wearing was also part of the story. And the question is, why was this Omega watch fitting or a good choice for Conrad's character in this series? And in the season 3, Conrad was presenting to the audience differently from the 2 seasons. The way Conrad dressed, the way he talked, and the way he do all things, it changes than the previous seasons. You could see clearly that the way he also dresses up with the watch that he was wearing, even though casual and normal, it was really nice in complement with the watch. The watch became like a daily or a beta watch for him. So let's talk about why it is a good choice for Conrad's character. The watch understated elegance. The thing is that the watch is not flashy or an oversized like Jeremiah's own, but it has a timeless design and precision timekeeping that complements Conrad's personality in this series. Why am I saying that? Let me ask. I love only once and I did it twice. Which one's love is persistent, timeless, and precision? Yes, this is the connection between Conrad and the watch that he was wearing. At this time, subscribing to the channel will be cunning. I really appreciate that for doing so. And don't forget to like the video as well. This was the turning point for many for switching from Team Jellyfish to Team Cunning because of what Jeremiah did. Let's talk about the watch. It is a classic vintage watch and it adds an old school charm, romance and nostalgia to the series according to Watch Pro. Let me take you back to the scene. Do you remember this? Belly, I don't think I will ever get you out of my system. I know here that Conrad was not talking about digestive system. Conrad says, what did you do? You just stick your whole head in the chocolate to save time, or what? Conrad says here, Belly, yes Conrad, I couldn't be with someone who didn't make me feel electric either. Back to the review of the watch. The watch also understated charm. Let's add complexity to it. And let's say the watch understated charm and complexity. And how is this fitting to Conrad's character? You know what I said earlier? The way Conrad says this, today he loves you, tomorrow no, I don't. It's also in connection with the watch. So rather than a flashy display of wealth like that of Jeremiah's own, the choice of a vintage watch with a rich history speaks of Conrad's classic taste and details that conveys the complexity and the emotional depth of Conrad's character. And we saw it in the series. A lot of people couldn't deal with Conrad's character from the beginning because of the way he was acting. They could not fully understand why he cannot express himself like that of Jeremiah, why he cannot make his feelings known. Today he will say, I love you. Tomorrow, no, I don't. Today, yes. Tomorrow, no. And the way he was treating Belly in the series. This was fitting to the complexity of this Omega constellation, even in its design. As you can see how complex it is, that a pipe band that has also been turned upside down. The watch also created intimacy and connection. In fact, the watch created intimacy and a more subtle form to make Conrad more attractive, thereby creating a deeper connection with the audience and providing fans with a tangible link with his character. You know, Jeremiah started wearing his watch earlier before Conrad's own, but a lot of people were interested in Conrad's watch. That is the connection that the watch also created in the series. And you know, Kani, the nickname, did you know that long ago, Omega watch collectors nicknamed Omega Constellation Connie? Yes, a subtle yet possibly intentional link to Conrad's name. Let me take you back to this scene. It's very emotional but very important in this series. Conrad says here when he was having a conversation with Belly, "You think that I love you because when I was 6 years old, my mom thought that we should get married?" Belly replies, "What if you only love me because that is what your mom wanted and then your mom died?" Conrad replies, "Belly, I have tried everything not to love you for the sake of Jer and for the sake of not dragging you down with me in my grave. I fought it way before the summer that my mom got sick. You have always been a precious person to me. I have always cared about you. And then at some point, I started to see you differently, and that scared me because I didn't want things between us to change. But the way I feel about you has nothing to do with my mom. If I met you for the first time tonight, I would love you." Belly replies, "Come on, Conrad. I mean, how did you know that?" Conrad says, "Because I have changed everything about myself. And the one thing that never changes is that I love you." Back to the review of the watch. You know, when it comes to watches and bracelets or certain items that people personally wear on themselves, some people's item like a watch or a bracelet that they have in their personal life, sometimes it's a gift from a grandparent, or sometimes it's the watch that they bought when they were going to college, or they bought it when they traveled to another country for holidays. So it's always connected to a story, or there's a reason why they own such a watch or an item. And here in the series, the watch that Conrad was wearing is more like emotional storytelling piece. Yes, the watch serves as an emotional storytelling piece, adding another layer to Conrad's character and his journey by revealing his emotional complexity through an object that he wears and his love for Belly. As a result, Belly says this, "I choose you of my own free will. If there are infinite ways, every version of me chooses you in every one of them." Yes, that was the result that Conrad got from Belly after he expressing his love for her. And that was the end of the series. The question is, was this watch carefully selected for Conrad, and do you think is part of the story? Share your comment with me. Do you memorize every little thing that I have said? If yes, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for doing so. And thank you so much for watching up to this point. A German will say, "Vielen lieben Dank." And a Frenchman will say, "Merci beaucoup." See you on my other video. Cheers.